Hey, what's up guys? Today I wanted to make a quick little guide on how to play Ezreal in Season 10. With the removal of Klepto, people are really confused about how strong Ezreal is or if he's good now, and also what runes to take. There is the potential for Omni Stone to be good on Ezreal. I haven't really tested that yet, but so far this is the page that I've been taking and pretty much everybody takes. And you just go Conquer, Presence of Mind, Bloodline, Coup de Grace. And for your secondary tree, I prefer Inspiration. I like to go Biscuits and Boots just because it helps out early game the most, and he's a champion that has a lot of trouble early game. You do also have the option of going Metaflow Band Transcendence. I've seen some people do that as well, but I would only do that if you're sure that you're going to have a really easy lane, because with how much mana he uses for trades, I feel like Biscuits are really good. And also with the removal of Klepto and just like the playstyle change to Ezreal, having Conquer, which is a keystone that actually allows you to fight, I do feel like you can actually win some matchups early game with heal, and TP is not as necessary on him as it was before, although you can still take it. If you take TP, I think Mana Flow Band and Transcendence becomes a little bit more viable, but if you heal like I do, I definitely would take Boots and Biscuits. For these runes, I like to go attack speed. You could go AD, but I do think he benefits a lot from attack speed, especially now that you go Conquer. So yeah, I'm a fan of that. Anyways, on top of the runes, I wanted to show you guys a quick Season 10 Ezreal game, like just go over it real quick and show you guys how I play him and what I do early game and stuff like that. So let's get right into it. So starting out, I think Ezreal can be played into most matchups, but he'll have the most trouble with champions that can push him in really easily and really safely. I picked Ezreal into MF here because I felt like even though MF has pushing power on me, she doesn't have that much range, and there's a lot of ways to outplay her because she's immobile. So yeah, I wanted to give the matchup a try. Ended up working out like pretty well. So yeah. 30 seconds until minions spawn. Basically, early in the game, your goal is really just to do whatever your opponents allow you to do. So here, they have a Kayn jungle who can't early gank me, and they leashed, so I'm gonna just take the push. Like, even though you're somewhat of a weak early laner, if you can get the push, it allows you to get angles to line Qs that you wouldn't normally be able to get if you go full in there. So any time you can get it where you're not forced to be stuck under your tower, it's really good. And also, if you can control the wave to your advantage, starting from wave 1, you might end up being in a position later on in the lane, around like 4 or 5 minutes, where you'll have like a really good time to back for a tier without having to lose a wave, which is honestly the main reason why people take TP on Ezreal, or it's like one of the biggest, is that since you do get pushed in, you don't have any AoE. It's pretty much up to your opponent when you're going to be able to back. So if I can ever get wave control on him, like push the wave in, I'll always try to take it. He's also such a safe ADC too, because he can just eat away from ganks. It's not gonna work for everything, but like yeah, as I said, Kayn, there's no way a Kayn could gank me, no matter what he pass. And the same can be said for a few junglers. Like I think even Jarvan has trouble ganking Ezreal as long as you eat his EQ combo. So yeah, we can fast forward a little bit. It's just normal trades. Nothing really too special. One thing I wanted to talk about as well is the build order for Ezreal. Before, it was really popular to buy Sheen first, and I think a big reason for why Sheen was the best first item on him was because all he really wanted to do with Klepto before is always have Klepto up and always just be trying to Q poke. That was his entire goal. Now that there's no Klepto in the game, I think the Sheen loses a lot of value, and I personally feel like it's really important to try and stack your tier as fast as you can. And beyond that, I feel like it's actually important to rush your Manamune as fast as you can. I actually value the pickaxe over the Sheen now, because with Conqueror, if you get in an elongated fight, he can actually come out on top, and he benefits a lot from auto attacks. Whereas before, yeah, like your entire playstyle was just WEing people and looking for Q poke. Now I feel like he actually can win fights, especially when you take heal. So You'll see me rushing a Manamune in this game. And a lot of people are saying that Ezreal is like weak. People are saying he's like a bug, you know, like an insect, like he doesn't do any damage. It is true, like for example here, I'm stuck with a tier and this MF has a Sheen, so obviously she'll outtrade me. But this is the biggest power trough you'll ever face as Ezreal. I am a little bit lucky because my jungle ganked for me early, but yeah, so this is your biggest power trough. But the thing is, because you have so much mana to Q poke with, like you could just if you can't push the wave, you can just sit and Q from afar and you can get the CS that most other ADCs wouldn't be able to get without having to trade. And you know, if you have wave control, like you're free to just spam max range Qs, and like it doesn't matter that they have a BF on you if they can't actually get in range to hit you with it. So really just respecting the auto attacks of the other AD. Like it doesn't matter what they have, they're gonna have a stronger buy than you, whether it's a pick, a BF, Cutlass, Vamp Scepter, whatever. Like the other AD will always be stronger first back unless you somehow first back like pickaxe plus tier, which happens sometimes. It's possible to get 1800 on your first back, however much you need. But it's really important too that you don't take any like super unnecessary risks on them. I'm playing pretty aggro here just because the jungler is working with me and they have like pretty good solo laners and stuff, so I know that this game's probably gonna be on me to carry, but I'm never really putting myself in a position with my aggression where I could die and like lose a game. Since Ezreal is such a tempo based character, if you fall behind at all on him or you don't get a good back, like there's nothing you can really buy to come back. Like a lot of ADCs right now, they can buy like triple Doran's Blade, or they can buy components, pick longsword, dagger, boots, whatever. Ezreal never has that luxury because the only thing you can really buy on him is like the tier is 900, pickaxe is 900, then you need the Manamune, which is like what, 550, 450, whatever, and then after that you need Sheen. So it's like all you can really buy on this champion is like a bunch of mana crystals, which don't help your laning phase whatsoever, aside from giving you like a little bit of extra mana to Q poke with. So if you ever are putting yourself in a position where you take a bad trade and it was because you aggressed too hard or something like that, you're gonna get punished way, way, way harder than any other champion. I would say it's better to try and stay on the safe side with this guy. And if you think your aggression could be punished really hard, or you're gonna be forced back or something, or you know, maybe the jungler is hovering you, like it's fine to just max range Q and play safe. Like you don't have to get fed on this champion early. As soon as you have Manamune, you're gonna hit a massive power spike. Manamune actually has some insane base stats for the cost. Like it's an extremely cost efficient item, and with how fast Ezreal stacks it, that cost efficiency goes up really quick too. Also, it's got obviously efficiency with the other mana items you buy, and also with Presence of Mind, which we didn't have access to last season. We did have access to Mana Flow Band, but Presence of Mind gives you up to like 500 mana, so that's double Mana Flow Band, which is pretty crazy. Again, you could take both, but I feel like it's kind of greedy. And biscuits actually give you mana too. They give you permanent mana, so I don't think you're losing that much. You're only losing like 125 mana or so by not going Mana Flow. But yeah, like real quick, just in case you didn't see that, yeah, it's giving me 35 base AD plus 43 from the passive. So it's giving me like 78 AD for a 2500 gold item. And in comparison, that's like BF pick is 65. So it's giving me more value than a BF and a pickaxe at this point. And that's like, if you take away the Sheen and the Lucidity boots, like it's still going to give me like pretty much as much AD to trade with. So once you get the CDR, it does feel even better, but just in terms of 2v2ing power, like as soon as your Manamune is done, you're actually able to fight pretty much whatever. And that's what people traditionally think is like the weakest part of Ezreal, is like when you would have tier Sheen and like maybe a pickaxe, and all you can do is poke. No, I think if you go Manamune and you have Conquer, like you can actually scrap it out. You can fight, you can win fights, you can out damage people. And yeah, you will get punished though, because you don't have the, assuming you're not 4-0 and you're not the Sheen and Lucidity boots here, assuming you don't have much CDR early game, you will get punished a lot harder for missing your Qs. So it's important to go for the reliable ones, like make sure, especially when you're CSing or you're poking, like try to make it so when you're poking, like your Q will at least hit a minion if it doesn't hit the champion, because getting that CDR on the Q really important for being able to have pressure in lane. Yeah, I snowballed a little bit harder than I expected to this game because Jarvan just at my lane super hard. But yeah, so the next thing I really want to talk about, I guess, is mid game. I already pretty much have mid game gold at like 13 minutes, so kind of unexpected. Maybe this wasn't the greatest video to show you guys, but because it's fast paced, I'll be able to show it to you guys a little bit faster than normal. Normally you don't really get to have plates on Ezreal either. One more thing I want to talk about with laning though. Another thing that you've seen me do a couple times in these clips, it's really good with Ezreal to like quickly, you show that you're there, you're running around like you're gonna stay, and then boom, you just quickly go out of vision, like you go in a brush real quick, or you go right out of vision like on a wall, and the moment you leave vision, you instantly ult. This is something a lot of really good Ezreals do, and it's just like a cheeky way to get poke in. Since you're spamming your Qs so much when you rush mana immune, you're having a lot of mana early, like you're gonna be able to get your ult CD back up pretty quick. 96 seconds right now with the CDR. Like, if I'm spamming Qs for like 3 or 4 waves, they'll be back up anyways. So it's always good to just throw it out, Like, this guy just completely didn't expect it. I was able to chunk him back. He just got back to base, and I was able to get some chunk on MF. And, like, as a poke champion, the way in which you deliver your poke actually, like, sort of matters a lot. For example, if they get hit with the ult first, then you're going to be able to just straight up take a fight with them. Even if you miss a Q or whatever, you already have such a huge HP advantage, and that's what's going to make them have to like play super far back. Like, I know my jungler's here once again, but if she was full HP and this was just a one-on-one, like, she wouldn't have to be too scared of me. Like, yeah, I would win because I'm like overfed, but like, because I already took the chunk off of her with my ulti, like, that's the reason why she really won't be able to play the game. And that's how you really like sort of like bend over your opponents with Ezreal. And I see like a lot of bad Ezreals, they don't really look for that as much, so it's really good to look for. And it's the same thing with like a WE, right? Like, the whole thing with WE is that it'll do just enough damage to the point where they can't walk up anymore because you could have lethal on them. So yeah, it's just always really good to look for that. And just abuse your ult cooldown. Your ult has a low cooldown when you're spamming Qs like on waves the entire time, so make sure you're not like really trying to save it for a huge team fight or anything like that. The idea with Ezreal is that the team fight never happens because you're poking them from so far away. That's really the goal with this champion. So yeah, and yeah, I think this game takes like a while to close out. Yeah, what's next to talk about? Right, item builds. A lot of people are really unsure about whether to build IBG, Iceborn Gauntlet, or Triforce on Ezreal. And basically, your build is sort of just dependent on how hard you're snowballing, as well as how many AD champions are in the game. So if they have like a really strong assassin, AD assassin, like maybe like Talon, Kha'Zix, that kind of thing. Kiana is like another big one. I always recommend going IBG. It's a lot cheaper, so you're gonna be getting your Borg faster, which is a really big deal, or you're gonna be getting your Lucidity boots faster, which is also a big deal if you haven't already bought them. It also, yeah, if you haven't already bought the Lucidity boots and you're just getting the IBG, it's like 2800 or so, and it gives you 20% CDR, so it's like a huge power spike to just have mana immune, IBG, and boots 1. But because I was so fed this game, I was able to back with almost an entire Triforce from Sheen. So I just went for that. And in this game in general, even if I wasn't so fed, I'd probably look to go Triforce because like Kayn and MF are like, they're strong champions, but they're not champions I'm going to really be taking a lot of damage from in team fights if I'm playing well. Whereas we'll definitely be getting dove on or poked out or like bursted by the Syndra and the Akali. And the base HP of the Triforce is more useful with that, as well as the damage and just the carry potential of Triforce. Triforce obviously does more damage, so and also the Phage proc is really nice. Like, IBG slows them down, but Phage increases your move speed, so they're both useful for chasing and avoiding getting chased. Like in their own ways. So both are good. Triforce is definitely more of a snowbally item. IBG is more of a budget item, or if you're versus a lot of AD champions, I always recommend picking up IBG. I will say too that with this build, since you don't have Transcendence, you can't really afford to go Tabby. So I would say like IBG is doubly more strong because that's armor that you wouldn't normally get, and so I think it's really good still. So in team fights with Ezreal, I wanted to pause here because this is another thing. People complain about Ezreal not really doing as much damage as other ADs, or they have trouble playing him in team fights and stuff. But the way you have to play Ezreal is a little bit unique from other ADs just because of how mobile he is, and you really have to like trust yourself to land your Qs in order to get your E resets so that you can E forward and really aggressively. I don't know if my flash is quite up here. Yeah, I do have heal though. When your flash is up, it's even easier to E forward because you can like E forward and they're gonna be like, oh, this guy has no escape left. And then they use all of their engage tools or their CC on you, and then you can just flash it backwards again, and then you can land a couple of Qs, boom, you're Eing in again. And you really have to just sort of think about that when you're playing Ezreal. Like here, I could be positioned on this side with my Leona, ready to follow up on her, you know, right in front of Braum Q, Braum ult, Kayn W, MF ult, and then I'd be sort of opening myself up to being flanked by the Akali and the Syndra, who are really strong. They're both really fed. But instead, with Ezreal, you can sort of like corral immobile carries into like where you want them to go. I don't care that they get this Herald. I want to be in a position where I can really punish their carries for being alone. They're unprotected, and it'll make more of a difference if I'm able to chunk either Syndra or Akali out of the fight than if I, you know, get a couple more Qs on their tank line. You know, it's really pointless. And this is always how I look to play Ezreal. So you're just gonna like see what I do here in this team fight. I do end up sort of like coming around here just because they move forward so much, but I end up going really deep and going over the wall, and I'm like sort of this is partially because I'm fed, but also just because I trust myself on Ezreal to be able to sort of like pressure their backline, you know. I'm not fully just only trying to hit their tanks. I don't believe I get anything more here, but the way I played this like pressured them the most. I feel if I had just gone from the front and they knew exactly what they could do to my team, then honestly, like my team might have gotten clapped pretty hard because again, Syndra is really fed here as well. So, yep. Your goal on Ezreal 2 mid game is to try and be mid, but it's a little bit of an awkward game. It's really fast paced. Like I'm really fed, but again, they got really fed too. Like my mid tower is already gone at a pretty early point in the game. So my goal here is to try and be mid. Once you have 2 core on Ezreal, or even 1.5 core or whatever, and once you have a little bit of CDR and your mana immune is close to finished, mid is just the best place to be because again you're so mobile, so they can't really try to collapse or gank you mid easily if you have one side to play for. Like I have Pinks, for example, and so I'm gonna back and go mid here and try to take over mid. And also just again, like you can E forward, you can play so aggressive, and also I want to talk about again the mana immune rush comes back to help me again really early in this game. This is an insanely early mana immune that you wouldn't normally see with the tier Sheen build that people were doing last season. When you rush mana immune, you can literally expect to have it done like as early as 17 minutes. Like it's crazy how fast you finish it, and that makes a huge difference for your early game power spike because your W, your E, and your Q are all affected by mirror mana damage as well as your autos. So yeah, it's really good to have. And I never really want a side lane at this point. You know, we were lucky enough to get both outers, but even if we didn't, I would just be sitting mid. Even if it means sharing experience with my Cassie or whatever, or whoever I need to, my goal is always going to be to try and poke out the other team around objectives. Like I want to be at the most focal, the center point of the map. You know, like I want to be a part of anything that happens. I want to be able to have an influence because this is why you play Ezreal. You know, this guy's. If he was a little bit better off, maybe he'd have 2 core. Maybe he'd have Essence Reaver IE, or he'd have like even just a BF. He is pretty weak, but again, even if I'm not this fed, I could easily have like probably 2 core at this point. And so yeah. So in this team fight, I get like dove on really hard, but you look at the mirror mana damage real quick, okay? Like the mirror mana damage is really insane. This guy's not even weak. He's got 2 kills, and I'm the one pretty much solo killing the Akali, even though he flanked me. And yeah, like just having the balls to E4 a lot of the time is all you really need on this champ. You're only gonna be super weak as Ezreal if you're never willing to E forward into their carries. Like the E itself, once it's almost maxed, with especially the mirror mana, is gonna do like 300 or 400 damage. If you have the W on top of that, it's gonna do half of a carry's health. Like I did like half of Syndra's health with just like an E and an auto attack there, and like you just again you gotta be willing to just go in. It's the whole point of the champion right here. So yeah, red buff is also of course really important, especially when you don't have IBG. Because people built IBG on Ezreal for so long, they're used to having that slow on the Q and making it easier to land. But red buff, whenever you have red buff, it's like you have IBG for a couple minutes. So I did say I would never go to a side lane, but because I'm so mobile here, like I can just quickly E over the wall and E back. No big deal. Alright, I believe in this team fight it was another good example of sort of the aggression you can have, but then also showing restraint. So yeah, I was talking about Eing in before. This is a situation where you need to really, when you're Eing in and when you're really trying to pressure their backline as Ezreal, you have to make sure you're paying attention to your team too. And you have to pay attention to what cooldowns the enemy team might have used. So as badly as I want to just E in here and kill the Braum, Syndra, she if I E'd in there, she might not have stunned forward, or she would have just like walked up and ulted me. Maybe I get hit by Braum pass, maybe I die. I lose the entire game just like that because I E'd forward at one bad time. Sometimes that's really all it can take. Like the pressure of you being alive is just as important as like the aggression that you're showing. You know, when you go in on the backline and you 1-for-1 or something, it's like really bad, obviously. Like your existence and you showing the enemy team that you're willing to be this like aggressive backline diver, just showing that, they're always gonna have to think of you as like an assassin, you know. They're not gonna, you're always gonna be in the back of their mind. Like their entire team right here is like, do I need to save my abilities? Can I afford to stun the rest of his team? Because what if Ezreal E's in here, you know? And that's like just the beauty of the champion. And also with Conqueror, like you're just straight up stronger in team fights. Klepto obviously was useless in team fights unless you RNG like a red pot or an iron pot or something. But Conqueror gives you a lot more sustain and you're able to stack it up really quickly too. He's pretty much the only ADC that I felt like Conqueror is actually good on because of how many abilities he has to proc it with. I tried it on Kalista a decent amount. I might try it a little bit more. And it feels really bad because like you have to sit there auto attacking 9 times and then land 1 Q or rend whatever. But that's so many auto attacks. Ezreal, like I almost had 10 stacks of Conqueror just queuing these guys over the wall and throwing W's at them and shit. So like it definitely makes a huge difference. Just how like strong you are in team fights, how willing you can be to stand toe to toe with the enemy carries and stuff. So obviously here my goal, I want to close this game out, so I'm going like maximum aggression at this point. I just hit my Bork power spike and I have the Hex Drinker now. I can dive once again real quick into itemization. I already talked about the Triforce and the IBG and stuff like that. But the next thing you want to think about is what your final items are going to be. So you have a few choices on Ezreal, okay? So obviously Bork is your third item no matter what, pretty much. It doesn't have to be your third like build order item. You could buy something in between like a QSS or a Hex Drinker if you need it, but it will be a part of your, it's just as much a part of your core as the Triforce and the IBG and the Manamune is. But for your other items, I'm a huge fan right now of Ma anytime I can buy it because you don't have Transcendence, so you're going to be missing 10% CDR. You're only going to have 40% with blue buff. So I like to build towards Ma a lot, but if there's a lot of CC on the enemy team, then obviously it might not be enough. Like, yeah, you'll survive the Syndra ulti, but you'll still die within the Syndra stun or the Braum stun here, right? What I did with my build in this game specifically, because their carries were so fed, their AP carry, specifically Syndra, I bought a Cutlass and a Null Magic Mantle. So sometimes, if you know what you're going to buy ahead of time, you can just pick up like the piece. Just having a Null Magic Mantle, I believe I had it at the Dragon fight over here, and I believe it's a big reason why Akali didn't kill me. I could be wrong, but it definitely came in clutch in a couple fights where I was playing super aggressive. I didn't die just because I had a little bit of extra MR. But I also decided to go QSS later in this game. So I bought the Hex Drinker just to make sure I wouldn't get one shot by the Akali or the Syndra ult if it happened to hit me. But I went ahead and before I finished the maw, I ended up picking the QSS because QSS is the enabler item on Ezreal. I'm talking about Eing forward, but it's obviously very risky if you're Eing forward into CC champions. But once you have the QSS on deck, you can 100% do it anytime. Like in fact, it's even better to Eing at that point because when you soak CC, they're relying on that CC to kill you, and when it doesn't, it can completely screw their team. And this is the fight that kind of made me realize I need QSS. Syndra hit me with a stun there, and my team wasn't ready to follow up. I might have died. So yeah. And again, man, the aggression is what wins you the games. Like I'm playing so aggressive here. I am my team's win con. Like none of us want a side lane really. Like Cassio doesn't really like she doesn't really want to go top. My Silas won a couple 1v1s in the side lane, but like I don't know, he's kind of unreliable, you know. Like the goal with our comp at this point, now that I'm so fed and my team's invested so many resources into me, is truly for me to just run at them, do as much damage as I can, and bait as much shit as possible. So that's just constantly what I'm doing, just living on the edge. And I believe I was heading towards mob, but yeah, when I get hit by the Syndra stun, I realized I needed QSS, so that's what I bought when I went base here. And I believe it came in clutch in the very next team fight, so yeah. Steal. Yeah, I was able to use the QSS here to play super aggressive once again. Not that it's a huge deal. I don't think we got anything out of it, but I almost got something. Yeah, it's just that safety net, right? I eat in here, I got slowed, I got hit by the stun. If I don't have QSS and she has her ult up, which she doesn't, but it's up in 5 seconds, I'm dead. 100%. I just die there. I lose 1,000 gold. The other team probably wins the game off that. It's 100% possible. Okay, there's I think we threw a lot in this game, so it slowed down. So quickly, I'm gonna show you guys one more team fight where I pretty much flanked the other team and just like threw them off guard because they didn't expect the angle I came from. And I believe it's straight around Elder, so I'll just skip to that real quick. Like so again, I could actually play front to back at this point, but it's not what I want to go for. So you'd expect me to be on, they might expect me to be on the Elder. If I'm any other AD, maybe I'll be doing the Elder, pulling it out and trying to bait them in. But with Ezreal, nah, definitely not. I'm trying to get in their backline. I'm trying to one-shot their carries. I saw MF briefly on this ward for like 1 second. I'll show you guys my vision real quick, what I saw. This is what I'm seeing. Yeah, so I saw Ezreal, or I saw MF very briefly enter the jungle. So immediately, instead of being over here, which is where they expect me to be, which is where, you know, Syndra could be QEing me and stuff like that, I'm just sitting here looking for this MF. I'm splitting their team up, you know, they're panicking. Like how, Syndra is a control mage, you know, like how can she fight a team fight where the carries are flanking? She wants to fight front to back, MF wants to fight front to back with ulti. If I don't give them that, if I don't let them have what they want, like that's gonna be how I carry this game. Which is what happened. How we won. And yeah, we got Elder and then we got Baron and we ended off that. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I'll show you guys the rest of the game, but that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. Yeah, I mean, he's still the same champion as before. He didn't receive any significant buffs or nerfs going into the season, but obviously Klepto is something people relied on, I think, for like 2 years now. And people aren't used to like the old like fervor playstyle of Ezreal. It's way different. People are still doing tier Sheen Rush a lot, and I think it's bad. And I think just simply switching up your mentality with Ezreal, perhaps taking heal instead of TP in some lanes, rushing the man immune, and then having the mindset that you could actually like win fights now and auto attack people. It's really, really key. And in team fights, if you're willing to E forward on their backline and get really aggressive and try to like hunt down their carries instead of looking for their tanks, you're gonna have a lot more success on Ezreal this season. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna play a lot of Ezreal this season, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. That's pretty much all I got. Also, I'm coming out with a Callista one soon. I'm playtesting Callista right now, figuring out what's best for her. I think it's probably just Halo Blades, but I'll get that out soon. All right, peace, guys. Thank you for watching. See ya. Oh, and make sure to like, subscribe, all that, you know, of course. All right, bye, guys.